Testy? Oh yeah, that's a good one, hey?
You're on camera.
Hypothesis testing. Clear that up a bit. Hypothesis testing with two independent large samples. Oh, two independent large samples. Now we're going to be comparing one group to another to see if there's a significant difference or not. Like for example, one study they did was they compared veterans who served in Vietnam and veterans who weren't in Vietnam to see like they looked at alcoholism and substance abuse to see if that Vietnam War was more, impacted them more than say the Korean Wars or World War I or World War II or anything like that. So you're comparing two groups to see if there's a significant difference in whatever you want to test. So this will answer the question, is there a significant difference between the two groups? Say I could maybe try out a new teaching technique and do it with one class and not with another, and then I would use the test at the end to see, boy, was the class that I did that experiment on, did those scores come out a lot different than the ones that I didn't? Is there a significant difference between the two groups? So the key here is that the two groups have to be independent of each other. So people in one group can't affect the people in the other group, and they both have to be over 30 or equal to 30. I think you know what large sample is by now. Okay. Let's see, two samples, testing a claim about difference in two parameters, not the actual parameters. Is there a significant difference? Okay, so the whole here the whole is the difference between the two groups. And what they're usually going to do is say that, because we're doing means, I think we're doing means in this first section, I probably should have said that too. Mean one, the difference, meaning when I subtract them, could equal 0. The difference could be greater than or equal to 0, or what's the third one for whole? Less than or equal to 0. So we're talking about the difference between the two groups. And then the same is true for the ha, would just be your other three signs. The not equal to 0, the less than 0, and then the greater than, the differences. Okay, so z-score for the difference between your sample means, that's x bar 1 minus x bar 2, is, we take the difference in the sample means, and we have to subtract the difference in the population mean. Today, this number is going to stay 0. Tomorrow, we're going to say the difference is at least 2 or more than 1 or something else. But today, this is going to be 0, and I'll point that out as we do them. the bottom of this thing is kind of obnoxious. Yeah. More of a calculator challenge than anything.
Is that a 0?
It's going to be 0, yeah. Today, they're all going to be 0 today here. The difference in the, because we're going to have, our whole is going to have the 0 in it. Equal to 0, greater than or equal to 0, or less than or equal to 0. All right.
Can we go outside in front of the 0, 2?
Nope. So S1 squared divided by its sample size plus S2 squared divided by its sample size. And all of that is under the square root.
There is no point.
There is no point.
So let me just do this.
Okay, so,
Can we do it different somewhere?
tired of staff?
I didn't get one chapter.
You didn't try in one chapter yet.
Kind of. We're taking notes of the code. I don't have it right there with them.
Okay, here we go. 2 examples, one by hand, one by program. You gotta like that, it's getting kind of quick and
Do we
easy.
not have to do science?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what do we even try to find?
Hypothesis testing. So all those steps are still there. Let's see, a survey indicates that the mean claim is that the mean credit card charge for residents of New Hampshire and New York New Hampshire?
She said residents of New Hampshire and New York. Is that
Yep.
kind of a population on its own?
Huh?
She said residents of New York and New Hampshire. Is that a population? Is that a sample?
That's the population. They're making this claim about all of the residents of those 2 states. Remember, claims are always about population. New Hampshire is $3,900. This must be per month, I'm assuming.
I'm hoping.
And New York is $3,500. Let's see, the survey included a sample of 50 from each state. I'm going to make this in table form. So New Hampshire, this is our sample data here. New York, 50 from each state. Standard deviation. New Hampshire had a $900 standard deviation. And New York had a $500 standard deviation. At 1%, is there enough evidence to conclude that there is a difference in the mean credit card charges? So that really wasn't the claim. Okay, so their claim is that there is a difference. And by obviously I can see there's a $400 difference here. And there's, so what was the mean here? Oh no, this was the sample information. Sorry about this. The mean. This is not the claim. That's why I mislabeled it. Sorry about all that. New Hampshire, the mean was 3,900. And the mean here is 3,500. That was their survey. I didn't read that very well. My tired brain didn't kick in yet. Okay. So the claim is over here. There is a difference in the mean credit card charges. Okay. These are slightly more challenging when it comes to the claim, because you gotta write it as a difference. Well, if they're saying there is a difference in the mean credit card charges, how do you write that? What does that mean to you to say that there is a difference? How do you compare them with a math symbol? Are they indicating which one's bigger or smaller? They're not really saying which one's bigger or smaller, so how do you indicate that there is a difference? The mean of New Hampshire, how does it compare to the mean of New York if they're saying there is a difference? And they're not telling you which one's bigger or smaller. How about not equal to? Does that work for you? Yeah, I was trying to pull, that's like trying to pull teeth there. So there is a difference means they're not equal. Agree with that. Now when we write the claim though, the claim has to be written as a subtraction of the two. Okay, so how do I convert this into a subtraction of the two? The mean of New Hampshire minus the mean of New York. And I'm just doing it in my head. If I subtract the mean of New York from both sides, I still have my not equal to. What is it not equal to? 0. Could I have started this out, the mean of New York does not equal the mean of New Hampshire, and have these two things flip-flop? Absolutely. The only thing I have to be aware of is, because I wrote it this way when I do my sample stuff turning it into a z-score, I got to write it the same way I wrote this one. So just pay attention into the order. That's why I like to label things this way instead of 1 and 2. So if I just put 1 and 2, I don't know which state's 1 and which state's 2, so go with this. So that makes the claim which one? The hot. So then the whole will be equal to 0. So based on the last chapter, what till test are we doing? 2 till test. Oh, I forgot to give you the... We are testing this at, what do we have in here? 1%. Alpha equals 1%. So what do we got in each tail? 0.05. How do I get z-scores? IM's norm. What's the IM's norm of 0.005? Okay, so we got a negative 2.58 and a positive 2.58. Like that. What was next in the whole 5-step process? Turning the sample data into a z-score to see whether it falls in the unshaded or the shaded or the unshaded. So I am testing the difference, and I wrote my claim as the mean of New Hampshire minus the mean of New York. So I want to turn my sample data into a z-score. What was my sample mean for New Hampshire? The 3,900. I'm going to be subtracting the New York one, which was 3,500.
Originally, could you subtract New York and New Hampshire?
Only if I wrote my claim that way. Okay, so now we're using this formula here. So I'm going to subtract the two means.